Hi, Darwin. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. I don't know how to share my screen.
You can share your screen. There is a plus button there. You can see
Okay.
the Inder and Pratik, if you could help it out.
Okay. And then when I share my screen here, then I need to go to this one here. Can you see me now?
You share the screen here.
Can you see the screen?
You can share the screen on the plus mark.
Okay.
Can you see the plus mark?
Yes, I see the plus mark. Yes.
And once you see the plus mark, you can see the third row. It is written share screen.
Okay. Let's see. Yes. Okay. I see my.
Share screen.
Yes. Okay. See your entire screen, and then it's where do I save it? I can't cancel. I see the plus mark, and I say share screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then I do that, and then
Please adjust. We have a lot of time.
then what do I need to? I cannot see. Do I go to my Chrome tab?
No, I can see you. You can see me, right?
I can see you. Yeah. Now, do you see my screen?
I see your screen loud and clear, and I can see very clearly. You can share your screen over here.
You can see my unrealized dreams of human aspirations.
No, I can't see. Please share your screen.
Oh, where do I save it?
Here it actually. Please share the screen.
No, I did share the screen, but I don't see that the share button is not allowing me to highlight. It's not highlighted.
Gautam, Inder, Pratik, if you are there, can you please help it out?
Yeah, if those guys can call me on the phone or my WhatsApp, we can work this out. But the thing is that they don't seem to be very responsive here.
Okay, let's do one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, here, there, and just hold on. I'm just talking to them.
Your entire screen, that's what I said. Or should I do the Chrome window? Application window. Okay, all right. There's an application window here. Now,
yes.
Now can you see?
Yes, I can see. Yes, I can see.
Yeah, but I cannot see myself. That's the thing.
No, yourself, everybody's saying, yeah, we both are there.
Yeah, but where can I see myself on a window where I only see my screen? I need to see my screen to speak, but how do I also see?
Start now, everybody. It's live, everybody's seeing you. Around 20,000 people are seeing you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let me first invite a very special guest from United States of America. He's one of my very good friends. Professor Solomon Darwin comes with a broad leadership experience in corporate management and academia. He is an international speaker recognized by peers, executives, and students with numerous awards for his innovative leadership and passion for teaching. He inspires students from both business and engineering disciplines, teaching countries open innovations, business models, building smart cities, scalable smart villages, IBM Watson, and business mobile, and emerging business environment. Let me tell you one thing here also to the benefit of our viewers and audience who are watching this live telecast. Mr. Darwin had a meeting with the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, because he's the one actually who has actually spearheaded the smart cities and the smart villages in India. And if I won't be mistaken, and I won't be hesitant to tell that Professor Darwin is the father of smart cities, not only in India but in the world. The way, if you could go to his Wikipedia page and type it, you will find out the numerous papers he has presented, the numerous case studies he has presented. But he has his concern. He says that India still has a long way to go and there are missing gaps. The floor is yours, Mr. Darwin. Please go.
All right. Can you all see me and also see my screen?
Yes, everybody can see your screen. Yeah.
And how is the audio?
Unrealized dreams of human aspiration, smart cities versus small villages.
Yes. And is the audio working okay?
Fantastic, it is working. Loud and clear.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. Actually, it's past midnight here in California on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to each one of you. And today I just want to speak a little bit about the unrealized dreams of human aspirations, smart cities versus smart villages. At UC Berkeley, I have taught the first smart cities course at Berkeley. And I also brought my engineering students and the business students to India to develop frameworks for smart cities that President Obama had endorsed. So we went to Gujarat and other places, Vizag, and so the three cities that we have taken up at that time. So I want to share my experiences about the smart cities projects in India, but also about what I'm now involved with, which is called smart villages, which I will tell you is probably the way to go. And our Prime Minister also realizes that rural development is far more productive and also a foundation for smart cities. Without any further ado, here's my agenda. Can you see my screen? Smart cities.
Yes.
A little bit about smart cities, unrealized dreams. I want to say a few words about smart villages that are both scalable and sustainable, unlike smart cities. And I will give you my reasons in a moment. And also why we need more villages than cities in the world, and why they are greener, and why they are much more productive and also much more fulfilling for human aspirations. I'll also want to talk to you about our Smart Village movement at UC Berkeley, where I'm working with about 40 different companies in the Silicon Valley to bring technologies to the rural parts of India to empower people. And those are the areas. What is a smart city? A smart city is empowered with digital technology, whether it's AI or augmented reality, virtual reality, machine learning for optimization to make it more efficient. It's omnipotent wireless broadband, citywide networks, which means you have a nervous system that connects all of us. And number three, it is green renewable energy sources. It's powered by those, and at least that's the aspiration. And measurement in real time for corrective action. So things are being measured in a smart city. They're also being tracking all activities through cameras and sensors. And also mass data collection. It's called surveillance capitalism, which people really don't are afraid of. And I will explain that in a moment. Predictive analysis to provide personalized services because they know you, they know where you are at any given time and where you hang out and who your friends are on email. They read your emails before you do and all the sites you go and see, your GPS location. So predictive analysis and personalized digital education and training also. So you don't need to go to school. You can learn everything on mobile devices and understand how to repair things, how to learn new things and access. Number 9, value propositions is it gives you convenience. It gives you personalization of services that you need. It also gives you the speed. But there's also cost to it, which we're going to talk about. The Utopian cities, the promised land of tomorrow. There's a quotation there I put up there. It says, before you build, count the cost. Do you know who said that? That was stated by a famous man who lived 2,050 years ago. Jesus Christ said that. He said, before you build, count the cost. And I believe with the smart cities, I think we have, we started building and we started planning, but we didn't count the cost. And there's this Google smart city in Toronto that was several years ago. They started that project. They withdrew and stopped the project on May 7th. They said, we're pulling out of that project. And it came with all the promises that I just mentioned to you in my earlier slide. There was Bill Gates smart city in Arizona. That was announced several years ago, and nothing has happened there. There's Eco-City in China. It's like a ghost town. You have the 100 smart cities in India that were announced a while ago. There's Sangdo smart city in Korea, South Korea, Brasilia, Eko-Atlantic. All these are promised lands that came with a cost of human rights, and we will see why they have failed. Here's the Google Smart City, nice picture, right? After several years of investing time and money, they pulled out on May 7th. There's the Bill Gates, yes. And there's Bill Gates town there, Dream Town, but it's out right there, it's laying waste there, nothing happened. That was also announced a few years ago. So there's a little caption there, smart cities, dreams capable of becoming nightmares. And many have. And here's Sangdo smart city in South Korea. It's called the lonely city because it lacks community. It's designed for 300,000 people, but only a third occupied and only a few businesses. It's a top-down approach. Too much communication on internet. There's no personalization. There's no one to talk to. And so that's the failure of that town, as nice as it is. Here is Eko-Atlantic smart city in Nigeria. And you can see that the city is up on the top that I circled. That's a smart city, but yes, the rest of the people are poor. They're living in ghettos and they're locked out. It's almost started with a great vision of being inclusive and helping people, but it's segregated people, lack of transparency, and built housing for the wealthy up there on the hill, while the rest of the people are living here with cattle and everything else. And that is not a dream unrealized. And there are many other cities privately funded in the United States, and I mentioned a few of them on the slide here. But the problems are exclusion, segregation, and persecution. What do human beings really desire? What do they really desire? What they desire is relationships. They need acceptance, and they need belonging. Very, very important. And the thing is, we are not catering to these basic needs because our human aspirations need to be aligned. Here are smart cities in India. We have, I had the privilege of going to one of them with my students and looking at some of these. Amravati, nice picture. Vijayawada, a very nice picture. Many of these things are still in drawings and didn't move from the desk to reality yet, right? And there's the gift city that I also visited. So human aspirations for cities did not start now. It started many years ago. Actually, the first son of Adam and Eve, whose name was Cain, he built the first city and named it after his son, Enoch. It means the human aspirations to build cities with gates and walls to keep people out, to secure what you have, has been there from the very, very beginning. So it began with the first son, at least in the Old Testament, if you believe in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Adam and Eve's first son built the city and named it after his own son, Enoch. The first IP was there. But they were very unwelcoming because they are gated and they keep people out. But however, I want to show you the ancient cities were built on river banks next to the farming communities, which means they were very integrated with the villages because they were really built next to a river, which is the source of life. Rivers are the sources of life. 2% of water on earth is fresh that sustains life on the planet. Cities are, in those days, were organic extensions of agricultural economies. That is why they were sustained for so long. Cities and villages were connected relationally, communally, and spiritually. They are spiritual centers. So versus impersonal wireless communities. And you can see a number of them. These were habitations for communities and spiritual centers. You can see the names of these cities. Very famous cities that we read in history. Babel, the gate of heaven on the banks of Euphrates. Jericho, the city of the moon, God, on River Jordan. Benares, the city of God on Ganges. Babylon, the gate of God on Euphrates. Memphis, the mansion of the soul on the Nile. Nineveh, the habitation of God on Tigris River. Thebes, the city of God on Nile. Rome, the eternal city on Tiber River. And Cairo, the victorious city on Nile. And Beijing, the city of God and heaven, heaven and earth, on the Yellow River. So the human pain points are something that we really need to realize when we build habitations for people, whether it is cities or whether it's villages. And we need to address the needs of the many, the bottom of the pyramids. We cannot build cities or villages, no matter what, for smaller elite communities. They're not sustainable. It calls for human pain points, call for human response and responsible stewardship. They also demand a solution to stimulate human creativity. We can do it together. And creates opportunities to expand markets so everyone equitably prospers as stakeholders and not as shareholders. Number 4 requires collaboration. We need to do it together, build ecosystems through open innovation, which is a topic that I teach here at Berkeley. So some of the main pain points that we need to address before we start saying, well, let's build something. Before we build, we need to count the cost. We have poverty, which is a major problem. We have 3.4 billion people still struggle for basic needs in this world. And most of these people are hidden in rural areas of the world. There are 650,000 villages in India and 1 million villages in China. And Mahatma Gandhi said, the soul of India lives in its villages. And that is a problem that we need to address. And the cities do some of it, but I believe but we need to work on villages first because they are the foundation for cities. As I mentioned to you earlier, based on my historical documentation there. The other problem that we have is inequity. There's a gap between the rich and poor is ever growing. It's a global phenomenon, right? And that is a problem. The other thing is urbanization. People want to move to cities, but cities, pollute. They are congested. Crime is up. There's waste. There are slums. 52% of the people who live in Mumbai area live in slums. That is not a good picture, right? And also, once the cities grow to a certain size, and they're not connected to villages. So what happens is that you have diseconomies of scale, high cost of the environmental bill, right? So the other thing that I also want to mention to you, because I have a very little time here, is the gap between rich and poor. Here's a professor who works with me at Berkeley, and he shows that this is something that he publishes annually, and only 0.1%, or the people who are rich, take as 188 times more money than the bottom 90%. The gap between the rich is not only big, but it is also growing. It's widening. You can see in the 1960s, we were much better off than today. The gap between the rich and the poor. This is not a good phenomenon. Top 1% income share has doubled, right? And also, it's not only growing, it's getting worse. You can see the productivity is going up, but the labor costs are not going up. And that is also not a good thing. So we need to take these pain points into account before we start building things, whether it's smart cities or smart villages. So not only the gap is just in the United States, but it's also in Europe. Big gap in Europe, right? Top 10% of, the wealth is concentrated 90% of the top 10 over there, which is not very good. And even in India, you have 9 richest people in India own more than the bottom 50%, or 9 people own more wealth than 600 million people combined. 1% of Indian population owns 75% of its wealth. That's not also a very good phenomenon. So we need to think about how when we design and build things, whether it is cities or villages, how do we be more equitable and fair so we can have a sustainable and scalable models. And that's why we started the Smart Village movement at UC Berkeley. And this is a little picture that I just want to share with you. You can see that on the bottom here, as a rich man, you see number 1 there, he can afford high value products at high cost. That's number 1. Very easy to achieve. Number 2, the poor man, you give him crumbs on the table, low value products at low cost. But the poor man wants value. He wants to be treated equally. He wants affordable products, right? And of high value at a reasonable cost. But you can also see on this chart that there are 5.5 billion people who are poor, and they're growing. Their economies are growing at 7.5%, a great opportunity for businesses. And then you have the rich people who are dying. The rich man, the 1.5 billion rich people in the Western economies are declining. They're growing only at 2.5%. But yet, companies are always focusing on number 1 because the rich man has deep pockets, and it's no-brainer. It's easy to achieve. He'll buy anything, including junk, if you give it to him because he has deep pockets. But not so with a poor man. Number 3 is hard. It takes innovation. It takes open innovation. And that's the topic that I teach at Berkeley. And number 3 is the reason for smart villages, smart village movement. And I just have demonstrated to you, smart cities are good, but they're exclusive. They're almost like gated communities. And so I think we just need to connect them to smart villages so that both of them could prosper, like in the ancient times. There need to be an outgrowth or organic outgrowth of the existing human culture. This is my definition of a smart village. At UC Berkeley, we defined a smart village not as something that builds roads, water tanks, bathrooms, and schools, but it builds people. It's a community empowered by digital technology that's affordable, easy to mobile, and easy to no learning curve, user-friendly, right? A community empowered by digital technology and open innovation platforms to access global markets. It is almost like every poor man in India had access with tools, information, and resources and training on a digital device that he can connect to the world globally and sell his products, buy products, and add value. And that is my definition. It does not need education. It does not need a PhD. It doesn't need a bachelor's degree. If you give people and treat them equally, they can transform the world, because the human DNA is much better than a PhD. God has given us the code within our own bodies to rise to the occasion and to transform each other's lives and contribute value in this world. We focus sometimes on the wrong things. So I define a smart village as a community. It's people who coexist, having a purpose and meaning. It is an ecosystem, relationships that meet one another's needs in a village that happens. I come from a village in India, and I see this all the time. It is the happiest place on earth when I go there. People care for one another, right? And here's a brand. A village is also a brand. My village in India is known for its textiles, the best handlooms you could ever produce. It gives you identity, legacy, lineage, ancestral pride, and inheritance. And a village is also a business model. It has the capacity to create value for others and also capture some of that value as revenue for itself to prosper and thrive and bless other people. So it is a business model. But it is also a platform in today's world of technology, because it gives you access to global markets. You can trade without barriers. You on frictionless platforms, without middlemen, eliminating all of them. This is empowerment. This is what a smart village is. And this doesn't cost investment. It just gives us our will and passion for our government and us to make it happen. And because it's free, it doesn't really need a lot of capital, right? There are other offerings that a village has: geographic pride, legions, identity, loyalty, belonging, affiliations, culture that is rich, relationships, family traditions, lineage, inheritance. All of these things are very, very important to people. That is why some of these cities that we are building did not really have the greatest traction, because one of those cities is called Lonely City, because you feel alone. There's not anyone to talk to on the street because people are so busy and occupied on the internet. So one of the things I did for Mr. Bill Gates when he came to Visakhapatnam, my Smart Village team said one of the things that he wanted to know is, why are farmers dying and committing suicide? And I said, sir, it is because they have too many barriers. And in the crop cycle, as you can see down below, everyone is trying to sell to the farmer, and no one is caring about the farmer. They don't have access. The offerings are isolated, whether he becomes a debtor to the seed company, to the fertilizer company, and and also to the pesticide company, to the landlord. At the end of the day, he's a debtor, and he has nowhere else to go than to just commit suicide. And because no one cares for him, everyone is trying to sell to him. So I have a solution for this, and I gave Mr. Gates a solution of how to reverse this trend. And because the farmer, is the backbone of our Indian economy, and he shares all the risk. It's not distributed, and cost is aggregated. The solutions are complex. He doesn't understand. He doesn't have access to information tools. So we said, these are all time killers. This is an ecosystem approach, which means when all the same companies that we work with, we surveyed about 10,000 farmers in Andhra Pradesh, and we talked to all these companies and said, do you guys want to work together? And rather than to compete, let us do it as an ecosystem. Let us treat, and let's not duplicate things. Let us share resources. And this one helps the person because what happens is costs are eliminated when companies work together as an ecosystem. There's time efficiency, there's speed to market, there's risk sharing. Everybody shares the risk, not just the farmer. There's yield improvement, and there's a greater happiness in the crop cycle. So this is a real study that was done. So we believe in this ecosystem approach, which means if companies work together, right, and in all of the verticals, but we need one thing that we do need in the middle is energy. We need connectivity. Once you're connected as a nervous system with everybody else, and once you have energy, then all of these other things work. Farming works, healthcare works, education works, water and sanitation, housing, logistics and transportation, all of